What is up everyone, Shocari here, and today I am bringing you my deck profile for Medusamon for the EX11 Dawn of Liberator format. Today's question of the day is, what's a Digimon that you'd like to see get support in an upcoming set? I'd really love to get a proper Craniamon or Craniamon X Antibody deck. Comment down below what you want. For the eggs, I've got 4 copies of BT21 Gigimon, which is just objectively the best egg for the deck. Once per turn on our turn, when our opponent's security stack is removed from, we can Digivolve into a Reptile or Dragonkin in our hand with the cost reduced by 1. We can hit our big Digimon faster and really take over the game at an accelerated pace thanks to this, so there's really no better choice. The rookies consist of 4 copies of BT21 Elizamon, 4 copies of EX11 Elizamon, and 3 copies of BT24 Elizamon. All of these have the inherited effect of once per turn on our turn, giving us a memory when our opponent's security stack is removed from. BT21 Eliza searches a Reptile or a Dragonkin plus a Liberator, EX11 Eliza gives a Reptile or Dragonkin raid and 3000 DP for the turn, and BT24 Eliza can trash a Reptile, Dragonkin, or Liberator to draw 2. Nothing too crazy here. The champion lineup has 4 copies of BT21 Dimetromon, 3 BT24 Dimetromon, and 2 BT24 Cyclonemon. Both Dimetros have the same memory inheritable as the Elizas, with BT21 letting us play an Owen if we have 1 or fewer Tamers, and BT24 being a blocker that can bounce itself to hand to save one of our other Reptile or Dragonborn from leaving the field. Cyclone has Rush and Raid and also gives Raid, but we mostly care about the Rush thanks to our Lamiamon inheritables, and because we sometimes need the extra swing for the OTK. For ultimates, we have 4 copies of BT24 Lamiamon and 3 copies of BT21 Lamiamon, both of which have the inherited effect of letting us play a Reptile or Dragonkin with 5000 or less DP from our hand when our opponent's security stack is removed from. Once per turn on any turn. BT24 Lamia can warp from Eliza if we have Owen on the field by placing a Dimetro from our trash underneath it, and also forces the opponent to put a card from their hand as their bottom security, and then trashes their top security. BT21 Lamia has Progress, which prevents our opponent's effects from affecting it when it attacks, and lets us trash our opponent's top security when any of our Reptile or Dragonkins attack targets change, like with our raid effects. Finally, our Megas consist of 4 copies of EX11 Medusamon, 2 copies of BT24 Medusa, and 3 BT24 Styracomon, all of which have Progress. No BT21 Medusa, as the newer ones can effectively replace the security attack +1 that she has because they can manipulate petrification tokens more often, which they all place and are tokens that are unable to suspend and trash the opponent's top security when deleted. EX11 Medusa also has Rush, and when Digivolving, or at the end of the attack, not once per turn, she can delete an opposing Digimon with as much or less DP as herself, then can return a card from the opponent's trash to the bottom of their deck to play a petrification token. She also has all turns, also not once per turn. If she would leave the field, you can delete a token to prevent it. BT24 Medusa has Raid and Piercing, and when Digivolving, you can delete your opponent's lowest DP Digimon, then you can return 2 cards from their trash to the bottom of their deck to play 2 petrification tokens. You do have to return exactly 2 cards to get that effect though. Styracomon can Digivolve off of Lamia for 6 as an additional cost, and also has Piercing, Blocker, and Armor Purge as well. When Digivolving, we can trash any card from our opponent's security, and all turns when their security is removed from, we can unsuspend it. Additionally, all turns once per turn when any of our Reptiles or Dragonkin would leave the field, by deleting our opponent's lowest DP Digimon, they don't. For Tamers, we have 2 copies of EX11 Owen Dreadnought and 4 copies of BT21 Owen. EX11 is a memory setter with all turns when any of our Digimon are played or Digivolve. If they have the Reptile or Dragonkin trait, we can suspend him to draw 1, then give one of our Digimon with the Progress keyword 3000 DP for the turn. BT21 Owen gives us a memory at the start of our main phase if our opponent has a Digimon, and at the end of our turn, he can suspend himself to give one of our Reptiles or Dragonkin Piercing for the turn, and then let them attack if they are able. Rounding out with options, we have 4 copies of Offense Training, 1 Red Scramble, and 3 Unique Emblem Blazing Conductor, which lets us play an Eliza or Owen from hand or trash, then places itself in the battle area, so we can later use Delay when any of our Owens suspend to let one of our Reptiles or Dragonkin on the field Digivolve into a Reptile or Dragonkin that additionally has the Liberator trait in our hand, with the cost reduced by 3. Medusamon is able to control the field through a ton of deletion effects in battle, while also gaining back memory and annihilating the opponent's security simultaneously. The deck can also easily just OTK with the right setup, and really early in the game too. Before we get into the gameplay, if at any point you guys are enjoying the video, please consider leaving a like as it really helps the channel out, and maybe even subscribe so you can see even more deck profiles like this one. With that out of the way, it's time for the digital gate to open. Alright, it's time for game 1 and we are going second versus Accel. We'll go ahead and mulligan to try and find some rookies, and there we go. Our opponent hatches Pinamon, goes into Falcomon, and ends turn by going into Liamon. We'll hatch Gigimon and go into Elizamon, then pass by playing Unique Emblem Blazing Conductor to play out another Eliza, adding Cyclonemon and Medusamon to hand. Our opponent chooses to keep Leah and raising and Digivolves it into Chromon, passing turn. We'll move Eliza up and Digivolve it into Dimetromon to play out Owen from hand. We'll then go into Lamiamon, forcing them to place a card from their hand as bottom security and trashing Bancho Liamon off the top, which triggers our inheritables to to give us 2 memory and digivolve into Medusamon for reduced cost, who bottom decks the Lamiamon to play a petrification token. End of turn, and Owen gives Medusa piercing and lets her attack, which also activates our Emblem to digivolve Eliza into Dimetro to play out another Owen. The hit gives us a memory and lets us play Cyclonemon from hand, and we can suspend our new Owen to give Medusa 3000 DP for some added protection. Medusa deletes the token, which lets us bottom deck the Ukomon to play another token, while the deleted one trashes Chaosmon off the top. Their turn, and they'll move up Crowmon so they can play Varodurumon from hand, which lets them suspend all of our Digimon, give Crow 3000 DP, and let it attack, targeting Cyclone, while digivolving itself into Darkdramon Ace thanks to the Pinamon inherited. Darkdramon de-digivolves Medusa and then deletes Dimetro since it has the lowest play cost, while they pierce our security. Varoduru triggers to let them DNA into Chaosmon Valderarm, who gives them 1 memory and prevents our Digimon and Tamers from suspending or activating on-play effects until the end of our next turn. It also gets to attack and reduces our Lamia's DP to 0, killing it but fizzling their attack. We'll hatch GG and gain 1 memory from Owen, but we're not in a great spot because we can't really do anything to Chaosmon. We play offense training and thankfully hit Eliza. We'll digivolve GG into Eliza and then into Dimetro and Lamia to set ourselves up for our next turn. They'll hatch Pina and digivolve it into Leomon, then play Singularity of Chaos, which lets them play Liamon for free since the cost is reduced, and then places itself under Valderarm. Chaos swings, hitting Owen and Eliza in security, and they'll pass by digivolving Leel into Diatribon. We move Lamia up and gain a memory from Owen, then pop the training to go into Medusa for free, deleting the token to bottom deck the Chaosmon in the trash and play another token, while trashing Diatri from the top security, gaining 2 memory and playing Eliza in the process, who gives Medusa an additional 3000 DP while Owen gets her piercing. I don't digivolve her with GG because I need to swing, and then I raid into Liamon, deleting the token to repeat the token process and trash Uko off the top. We'll digivolve into Styracomon, trashing their last security to unsuspend itself before swinging for game. Okay, our next game is versus Mastemon, and we are going first, and our hand looks fine enough to keep. We'll start by hatching GG and going into Eliza, then end with offense training, grabbing the Emblem. Our opponent hatches Tokomon and passes by playing Mirai, trashing Angelomon to draw 2. We'll move Eliza up and pop the training to digivolve into Dimetro for free, and end by playing the Emblem, which lets us play our Owen, which then lets Dimetro attack since we're at the end of the turn. We hit Mastemon in security, but we at least get a memory out of it. They'll play Lady Devimon from hand for reduced cost since they control Mirai, and I think they might be bricked if that's the best they have. Our turn again, so we'll hatch GG and gain a memory from Owen, then go into Eliza once more, then we'll play Eliza, grabbing Lamia and Medusa off the top. We digivolve into Cyclonemon so we can use Rush to pair it with Owen to be able to swing, to also trigger our Emblem to allow us to digivolve into Lamia for free, making our opponent put a card from their hand as bottom security and trashing Gatomon off the top. This then gives us a memory to keep turn and also lets us raid into Lady Devi, and I'm chancing on them not playing Mastemon Ace with the current meta just being really hostile to aces as a whole, and thankfully at least isn't in their hand, but we ironically hit it in security anyway. We play offense training to pass turn, grabbing Eliza from the top. Our opponent plays Angelomon Ace from hand, trashing Reprimon off the bottom that they place through Lamia, who then gets to play itself out, which triggers Angelomon to let them recover 1. Eliza moves up when we get a memory from Owen, then we'll warp her into Lamia to put a card from their hand on the bottom security to trash Revelation of Light off the top, gaining 2 memory and using our GG inherited to digivolve into Medusa for reduced cost, killing Angelomon to get 3 memory off of Overflow, then bottom decking Revelation from trash to play in a petrification token, and prevent them from resolving its security effects since it gets removed from the trash before they have a chance to activate it thanks to priority. We'll swing into security with Medusa, which allows us to play Eliza from hand, grabbing Dimetro and Lamia from the top of the deck. We'll then kill the token, bottom decking a Mastemon to play another 1 and trash Mirai from the top of security. We'll pop the training to digivolve Medusa into Cyraco for cheap, who then trashes their final security card Venusmon to unsuspend and then delete Reprimon before swinging for game. For our last match, we're going second against Myotismon, and we'll keep the hand. Our opponent hatches Demimeramon and digivolves into Demi-Devimon, and passes by playing another Demi-Devi, adding Arukenimon to hand and discarding Malo-Myotismon. We'll hatch GG and digivolve into Eliza, then play another Eliza to trash Eliza and draw 2. We'll end our turn by playing offense training to grab Dimetro. Our opponent moves Demi-Devi up and swings with it, hitting Owen in security. Demi-Devi number 2 attacks, dying to Lamia in security. They'll end their turn by playing Myotismon, deleting Demi-Devi to reduce the cost, with the Demimera inherited letting them trash a Mummymon in hand to draw 2, and Myotis giving himself blocker and retaliation until our turn ends. We'll move Eliza up, who gives herself raid and 3000 DP for the turn, and gain a memory from Owen. Then pop the training to digivolve into Dimetro and play another Owen out. We then digivolve into Lamia, who makes them put a card from their hand as a bottom security to trash Mummymon from the top. This gives us 2 memory to keep turn and lets us digivolve into Medusa, who can then delete Myotis and bottom deck Myotis to play another petrification token. Since at the end of the turn, Owen suspends to give Medusa piercing and let her swing, raiding into the token so we can pierce after trashing Venom Infusion off the top and playing Cyclone from hand. We hit the Arukeni and Mummymon Tamer, which plays itself out, and at the end of the attack, bottom deck the Malo-Myotis to play another token. They'll start their turn by hatching Demimera and then playing Arukeni, deleting the Tamer to reduce the cost. Arukeni reveals the top 5 of their deck and trashes Mummy and Venom Myotis from it, and the Tamer's on deletion effect lets them play out Mummy from trash, who then trashes Malo-Myotis from hand and digivolve Medusa by 1, ending their turn. We hatch GG and gain 2 memory from the Owens, then go into Eliza and digivolve the Eliza on field into Dimetro. Lamia will attack, making the opponent bottom security a card from hand and trash Venom Myotis off the top, which then gives us 3 memory and digivolves the Dimetro into Lamia. We hit their Tamer in security, which gives us another memory. Lamia number 2 swings, hitting great memory boost. Cyclone will go into Lamia, putting a card from hand to the bottom of the security to trash Digital Gate open off the top. She'll then go into Medusa, deleting the token, which lets in the bottom deck Myotismon to play another token and trash their final security card and play Cyclone from hand. End of turn, and Owen suspends to give Medusa piercing, lets her attack, blocked by the Arukeni. End of attack, and we can delete Mummy to bottom deck Myotismon to play another token. Pretty sure I should have won from piercing, maybe a bug, but I honestly couldn't say. They pop the Mem boost for 2 memory, then play Arukeni, deleting the Tamer to reduce the cost. Arukeni reveals 5, trashing Myotismon and Arukeni, and the Tamer plays Myotismon out, who gives himself blocker in retaliation, who then goes into Myotismon X Antibody, which deletes our Cyclone. Myotismon plays itself from trash for reduced cost by deleting Myotismon X, making Lamia number 2 and Medusa unable to suspend until the end of our turn, while Myotism's on deletion effect lets it play the Tamer back out, and Myotismon X lets them play a Myotismon from trash for free, choosing our last Lamia and an Owen to not be able to unsuspend. Fortunately, we just need 1 swing, and Eliza is able to move up and give herself raid in 3000 DP, with the Owens giving us 2 memory. We play the Emblem to play Eliza, grabbing Dimetro and Medusa off the top. Medusa will Digivolve onto one of the Lamias, deleting one of the tokens, and I accidentally misclicked to not bottom deck anything, but it doesn't even matter. The other Lamia Digivolves in Medusa, deleting their only blocker in Arukeni, and bottom decking the Tamer to play a token. End of turn, and Owen lets Eliza swing for game. And there we have it. Overall, I'm absolutely in love with this deck. The way the deck is able to be both insanely aggressive while also controlling the field is just absolutely beautiful to me. Honestly, the thing you have to watch out for the most is that your only removal options are through straight deletion, which sometimes doesn't work in your favor, or through overpowering, which you sometimes can't even do either. So sometimes your best course of action is to just ignore the huge threat on the board and focus on security that you can easily chunk down in just a single hit. A good example is that Accel game from earlier, where you can't really afford to try and delete their Chaos Mons, because they either have protection, and or they can just put their 6s back on the field, which then weaken your own position through their effects. Just remember, you can always tweak the ratios of cards or change the lineup depending on your preferences. This list is just what's been working well for me. And that's Medusa. I think it's easily among the best of the Liberator decks. If there's any other decks you guys would like to see me cover, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like to support the channel and consider subscribing. Until next time, take care.